David, McGraw-Hill Education the history is as a publishing company, selling textbooks to schools, to colleges. Since its acquisition by Apollo and since you came on as CEO, you've been trying to transform that. Tell us how.
Emma, thanks. No, it has been quite a journey of transformation. I mean, what we bought was an old line textbook publisher, and we've had to make it relevant. And what we've done with that is we've put about $700 million to work, spending a lot of money thinking about how you can improve outcomes in education through using software. And that's been the thrust of what we've done.
So it's about becoming a digital company?
Well, it's actually about becoming a results company. We call it a learning science company, using a combination of psychology and cognitive sciences to help people do better in their education.
And so tell us about this software. What are you actually providing? I know you've been acquiring software companies, you're working with AI. How does it all figure for McGraw-Hill?
When I went to school, we learned by reading a book. Now we've turned the paradigm over. The book reads us. So what do I mean by that? We've taken the content, we've studied it with probes and questions, we've linked the answers back to a piece of AI. So basically now, the book is seeing what you know, what you don't know, how confident you are, how confident you're not, where you're lacking in confidence, how accurate you are and how inaccurate you are. And on the back of that is then helping guide you on a very personal path of learning. And that personal path is going to be better because you and I would have different backgrounds in a given subject. One of us might go farther, one of us might go faster, but we all can get there. And the software is very good at making sure you get there in the end, which is the most important thing of all.
So the textbook is almost becoming like a teaching assistant in a way.
And you've called it correctly. It's a teaching assistant because one of the things it does is it gives a lot of data. And the data goes both to the student, but also critically to the teacher or the instructor to say, look, you're looking into this class. Wouldn't it be useful to know what they don't know? Just before you give that lecture that you've given many, many times before, here's a problem that they're all stumbling on. Begin with that. So there's a lot of insight that comes out of that learning data for the first time now.
So what proportion is digital now of McGraw-Hill? Let's talk about percentage revenue, things like that.
Right.
How much have you become this new tech as opposed to the old tech company?
People are always surprised. In higher ed, it's now more than 2/3 so far this year is digital, which is, it's been a rapid change. You know, it was under 20% and maybe that wasn't really quite true. Now it's 2/3 and it's absolutely software based. K-12, it's a smaller number, but that's because K-12 is more complicated to do this in and the infrastructure's worth.
Do you see yourself becoming 100%?
No, I think, you know, we don't want to be sort of fundamentalist about this or that, and there will always be markets for which print is better, small graduate classes, or even those very first years of learning to read. You might find that there's going to be a much longer persistence of print in those. If you are in undergraduate education, more likely than not, you're going to be doing it digitally.
And so how have you managed this change from old tech to new tech? How have you must have had to compete with Silicon Valley for ideas, for talent. How do you do that? We're
always concerned about new competitors. The exciting thing for us is that when engineers join or when people in the software world join, we're really about purpose. This is a very purposeful company. People can spend their time, I don't know, improving a buy button, which has got value in its own way. But they come to us and they'll work on a problem like, how do I help children learn? And that's incredibly fulfilling. So we've been able to attract a lot of people from big established companies, and instead they feel that they're fulfilled in this. They're doing something really intrinsically useful.
When you're owned by private equity, one of the things everybody wants to know is when you're going to go public. Right. You filed before, but no cigar. Do you have any idea on timeline?
Well, I think it's fair to say the only certainty if you're owned by private equity is that one day you won't be.